why order something and pay for it when you can just look like an asshole online?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man.
Yeah.
We got a little cold, I think.
Yeah, you're definitely sick.
But it is what it is. We keep moving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right.
Oh, people are saying you sound hot.
I'm not. Appreciate it, but I'm not. I'm trying to get this stupid video working real quick. I'm pretty sure I did this, and that's why I called you, so we could get this all figured out. But big dum dum over here didn't.
You're chilling.
Nope, that's not right. And perfect. And boom. Put that right there. Put that right there because we didn't have a camera on. There we go. Perfect. Awesome. Great. I think we're good. All right, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing, brother?
Absolutely. I'm doing great, dude.
Bro,
it might change. The more times you ask me, it might change.
oh, yeah, I think I'm more ass because I don't know if I think we've all been on Twitter like this last couple weeks on Twitter has just been a lot. So I'm just like,
it's been tragic.
I'm just
It's
checking.
been honestly crazy.
Yeah, I'm just checking in on my buds and be like, "How you doing? Are you okay?" like, how's all the going? There's no way your soundboard just came in.
No way. No, it didn't come through.
No, it did.
No way. I mean, listen, you get the full experience.
Uh-huh.
I do, John. I do have a question for you though.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm starting to step into my villain arc.
I love that.
I'm starting to stop caring.
I love that.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I think so for everyone to understand like why I got introduced into you was because I heard a lot about you, never checked into a stream, and because I hear a lot about every content creator, and most of the times I've gone in and I'm like, man, this guy is boring as shit.
Yeah,
so happy
like
I didn't check in for a while. And I think one of the things is I was really kind of shocked by was that your ability to interact and talk with people and your welcomeness is insane. And I don't know if that's because of your background of like being in the hospital, so you're used to like making people feel comfortable doing shit like that. Because you're a nurse, right? Or you were?
No.
No?
No.
Where did I get that from?
I don't know. Somebody's making up some craziness.
I could have sworn
no,
you were in the hospital. Like did hospital work.
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
Why are you so nice then?
Listen, my chat would probably say otherwise.
Your chat wouldn't. Because I've come into your chat multiple times whenever you're doing shit. Even playing Call of Duty, you're a friendly guy.
I mean, I appreciate that. I think I just try to be a positive person and just try to like be a positive impact. There's so much negativity and shit in the world, like just trying to be a little bit positive and like bring that to my community and just the creator world in general. Like, I think, that's like something that brings me joy, is to like try to, make a place that like everybody can feel welcome. So I think that's probably where that comes from.
Does it come from a place of like you were doing that because you didn't have that growing up, or is that kind of like you just naturally like that? You're just naturally inclusive?
I think I probably wasn't growing up. I probably was. I don't know. That's interesting. Like growing up, I was definitely like different. I grew up in like a pretty like wealthy area. And so like being different was not really something that was accepted by a lot of the people. So like I was like, I was the kid listening to screaming music, and wearing tight jeans before, when everybody else was wearing like Jinko and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And so like it was definitely like I didn't have I had friends at school, but like most of my stuff I did that wasn't like sports was outside school. So like when I was playing with bands and stuff like that, I was hanging out with people at shows that didn't go to my high school and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think there was just like a time probably in college that I kind of just like realized like it's time to like just like stop being like bitter. I was very like I felt like I was a very bitter person.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's kind of like I feel like life's just too short to be always angry, you know.
I think I'm in that place right now. Like I'm just bitter.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be like really happy. That's what sucks about like family is they'll look at me and they'll be like, "You used to be a really happy kid." I was like, "Yep, he's dead. He got taken advantage of a lot." I think that's where I'm in. I think that's where I'm in. The place where I'm in now, to where it's like hard to go back to the like nice guy, because he, just because of childhood and like growing up, he got taken advantage of a lot, and then people were like,
right.
"You used to be real sweet." I was like, "You obviously didn't really care. Like, you obviously didn't fucking care about that." So it's I think that it's cool from I think I appreciate you growing into the place of like where you were bitter and then getting to a softer place of like, yeah, I don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah,
because I'm on the other place. I'm like, yeah, I don't like being taken advantage of. So I like I feel like your place is a lot harder to be at because you grew up. Not you grew up angry. I think certain circumstances can create that kind of avenue.
Right.
But I think it's a lot harder to grow up and get nicer, and then because especially with growing up, you see a lot more shit, and I think that kind of plays into what we're doing now as content creators. Like we're seeing a bunch of stuff come out. It's like, okay, like I don't know how you're able to be kind and close-lipped and just kind of be like, okay, just like let them grow, like let them. I don't know. Like, do you see it as like with that mindset of you growing up and getting more compassionate? Do you see people in a different light, or are you still kind of like a little bit more protective of yourself, but more empathetic, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think I just kind of like look at my journey, like and see like I allowed myself to like continue to learn and grow. And so I try to make that like my message to people is like always try to learn and grow themselves, right? And like try to see people's like perspective on things. And I think that probably helps me, right? Like I mean like I also like if I see like stuff just getting too toxic, I just close Twitter, right? Like
Yeah.
if Twitter's getting crazy, like, and I find myself like doom scrolling, then you know I try to get out of that because I just like what is there to gain from like putting yourself in that mindset, right? And like allowing yourself to get so angry, because I used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
And like it just like nothing came of it.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah,
I think this kind of steps into, because I think content creators can, especially now, you can kind of make a name for yourself about calling people out. You can really do that. I mean, Keemstar does it. For some reason, he's done some really fucked up things in the past, but he still has a platform because he's able to report on news, call people out, do whatever, kind of fuel the fire.
Right.
Do you think it's a place? Do you think we need to be holding, as content creators? I think viewers do that no matter what, but do you think as people who create content should be holding other people accountable? Or do you think we, knowing what people go through, because we've seen a ton of shit on Twitter, we don't need to get into it, but we've seen a lot of people just being kind of thrown onto the stake and burned. And so I feel like, and I've had this question a lot, do you think content creators should be held to a higher standard
I think a lot of it, and I don't know if this is a point that I've like really heard a lot of, is I think a lot of it comes down to responsibility, right? Like when you're a content creator, like you are, regardless of size, you're given a platform, right? And with that platform, you have a certain level of responsibility, and regardless of whatever side you are on of whatever issue it is, right? I think the biggest thing is having that responsibility of being informed of what you're talking about, right? So like you can have your opinion on anything, but when you have a platform, regardless of the size, like you have a responsibility to be informed about what you're talking about. Because if you're spreading misinformation or whatever it is, like it's very dangerous, because you do have that platform and there is people who listen to you. So I think that's like, to me, that's the biggest thing, right? Like you can think whatever you want, you can have whatever opinion you want, but like to any like content creator that's listening to this or whatever, like just be responsible, right? Like you need to know what you're talking about, because if you're just talking out of your ass, like that's when you can get into trouble, right? So
or start misleading people, especially because you joining and streaming on Kick, I think we've all seen our fair share of like, oh, there's like all the bull crap, like there's no TOS, it's just only hateful. You're like, you have to be gambling if you're on the side. It's like, where are you getting this shit? Like, right. I think misinformation is one of those things that it will run rampant on social media. And I think what's really tough too is it's almost like you have to have like a PR response to it after hearing it for the 1000th time. Because that's the big button issue, is that everyone's thinking about moving from Twitch to Kick, or from whatever platform to Kick, and now it becomes a moral issue. And I think that's where, me personally, I think it's just, I don't think people really care, except for some positioning and virtue signaling from time to time. You don't have to speak on it, but like, I think there's some people who get really good brownie points, which is what I've come to realize from content creators on social media platforms, is they can kind of sway an audience and they win, but they don't really have to do anything that scary. But these are also some of the same content creators who call out other people for their stances. And I think that's where I'm at the place, and with my like whole villain arc of like, no, like I think it's wild to see. And I think that's where I think with, I kind of put you in the same boat of like Big Rob, Mr. Marvel, a few others, to where you guys are staple content creators, but you know which battles to pick and which ones to just be like, I'm out. I'm just going to put the phone down and go outside and touch grass.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's some things that it's just like, people are so like opinionated on, and like me saying something isn't going to change their mind. Right. So it's like, it's not worth my mental energy to like go out there and fight with somebody over it that isn't even willing to listen.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I try to just like let my actions kind of speak for themselves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And just like always try to learn, and like I was saying before, just like always try to keep learning and understanding, and just like trying to be a better person every day. That's like really all it boils down to for me. And yeah.
Well, because I've done my research on you, but for those who don't know, what got you into explain your name then, because I literally thought Wash Your Hands was because you were like a nurse in the background. I don't know where I got that information, but I thought that was the case. So why Wash Your Hands?
So people there's a lot of places that people probably think it comes from. Like the biggest thing, probably people think it's COVID, but it's actually a really dumb story. It was, I was like probably 12 or 13. AOL Instant Messenger was a big thing. For those of you who were not born yet, AOL Instant Messenger was like a texting before texting was a thing, only on the computer.
ASL. ASL, baby.
we old. But yeah, like I would change my like username on there like every other day. Like it would go from like, you know, Skater Man or whatever to like whatever crush I had that week to like, you know, like whatever. And then one day I was just like, wash your hands. That's funny. And then one R was taken. So I made 2 R's. And then I made that my username on absolutely everything. And it stuck.
I was wondering if just wash your hands was taken and you wanted that name so bad that you just
I
added
just really wanted wash your hands for some reason. And yeah, like probably most of the things I was getting that name on, like 1 R wasn't taken, but yeah, it's like that's that's where it came from.
Gotcha. Now I didn't follow you during the COVID days, but were you a big like Warzone? Because you play Call of Duty from time to time. I think you're getting out, which by the way, huge shout out on the whole gun painting thing. That thing was awesome. The fact that you got an article written about you, had highlights of it. Also, I didn't know that you were able to do that. Your ability, and I think that's where I'm excited about, like seeing creators step out of a game. I was talking about this with my chat earlier today, but I was like, I'm so excited to watch Call of Duty creators because I think they are some of the most talented people. They're just gaslit by a dog shit game. Like it's wild, dude. Like you see I Am Rob, you see Lucci, you see you. Like I put you all in like this whole, like, you're incredibly talented. And I don't know if it's just because it's comfortable or you have extreme hope in the game to where it's just, you know, maybe it'll come back to its former glory. Like, but you in your ability to do with your own talent is obviously notable. Like, so says the world, not just like your community on stream or whatever. It's everyone thinks that you do a great job. So I'm kind of curious, like what would you like to be doing?
Yeah, so I've always been a massive fan of Call of Duty. Yeah. Like for, you know, since probably, I mean, COD 4 obviously like introduced me to it, but like Modern Warfare 2 for sure. Like that was hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of just, you know, playing with the homies. So I've always been a big Call of Duty fan, and to the point where I didn't play a lot of other games like for a lot of my life because it was just like Call of Duty. And then when like I would kind of get tired of that year's Call of Duty, I would stop playing games until, you know, the new one would come out. Really? Play that for, you know, for months and months, and then, you know, and then I would stop that. And then yeah, it was pretty much until World War II. World War II came out, and I hated that game like so much, and yeah, it made me like actually get out of the COD cycle for once.
Really?
Yeah. And
what was about it that you hated it?
I don't know. I love the jetpack games. Like I think my like biggest hot take, that's like my like the meme of like all the, you know, all the people pointing guns at somebody and it's like, what's your one video game hot take? I think Infinite Warfare is like the most underrated Call of Duty of all time. It's a great game that came out at the worst possible time. People were done with jetpacks and they didn't play it. People who are like, that game sucks, didn't play it. I will die on that hill. It's a good game.
Yeah, I heard a lot of hate about that game. That's actually what kept me from playing that game.
Yeah, and like it was okay. So like basically, Black Ops 3 had come out. Black Ops 3 is probably my favorite Call of Duty of all time. Like nostalgia aside, and like by the end of that game cycle, that was 2 back-to-back jetpack CODs, right? And like by the end of that game cycle, like people were like, "I'm done with jetpack games." So then they were like, "Okay, Infinite Warfare, Infinity Ward's game is coming out. Like we want it to be boots on the ground." Well, Infinity Ward has been developing a game for 3 years at this point. So that's not changing.
Yeah.
And so like when that game came out and it was like in space half the time, like it's a pretty big like change from like, you know, Modern Warfare 2, right? So I get it, but the game was awesome. World War II came out. First of all, I don't like the historic games as much. Me personally, it's just like not for me. I like the futuristic stuff. I'm big into sci-fi. Like I love all that stuff. So, you know, having the old guns and like all like the old skins that like aren't super exciting. There was some things about the game that were cool.
Yeah.
Like Headquarters was really cool, but the game just like was very meh to me. So I stopped playing, and then I didn't play Black Ops 4. And then I didn't even play Modern Warfare 2019 when it first came out, until COVID. And my buddy Sanj was like, yo, like this new Battle Royale just came out. Because I was playing Apex at the time. And this new Battle Royale came out. It's Call of Duty. Like, you should come play it. And this was probably like season 2 of the original Warzone. It was like near the beginning of it. And played it, and I was just like, damn. This is sick. Because I, you know, obviously I love Call of Duty. And then I had been playing a metric ton of Destiny 2. Like through that like whole gap there. So that kind of like a lot of my friends had like fallen off playing Destiny 2. And so I started playing Warzone then, and absolutely loved it. Original Warzone is a fantastic experience, and it just like got a bunch of the buds back together playing Call of Duty again. And
do you think that's what it originally was amazing for? Because I remember very vividly, maybe it was towards the end of Warzone, but I remember very vividly towards the end of Verdansk, everyone hated that fucking game.
I think it was people were more tired of Verdansk at that time.
Yeah.
When like at the end of it, and the hackers, like the hackers really like before there was the anti-cheat, like the hackers were was
the anti-cheat that would solve all the hackers.
Yeah. And like I think people had a very unrealistic expectation there.
The fact that, and everyone wanted, I think I even sided with some people when I was like, why would Tim the Tatman and fucking Nick Merckx highlight hackers? It's like, motherfucker, they were gonna hack no matter what. And it's the internet. It's going to get way worse.
It's a free game. Yeah, it's a free game that like people are playing more than anything else. Like people are scum of the earth and just hack to ruin people's games and people's days.
I agree.
But yeah, I think that was the main thing, is like there was so many things near the end of Verdansk that were like there that would like sour the game, which sucked, because the game was great. But yeah, then we were on console, like me and the buds. I was sitting there. I was the dude on the couch with the 60-inch TV, the console, getting shit on by all the PC players. And I was still having fun with it, but I had played it enough that I was like, okay, I think I want to get a PC. Like I used the PC game when I was younger, you know, stuff like that. And like a lot of Counter-Strike and stuff when I was younger. But I was a console player for a long time.
Yeah.
Just for the convenience of it. But with like working from home and all that stuff, I was like, okay, I could probably build a PC. So built a PC, and then I'd always watched Twitch, a lot of streamers and stuff like that. And
back then, so you were
well before I even had thought about streaming.
Really? Like when you're younger, like a kid, like when Justin TV was actually there?
I never watched Justin TV, but like I used to watch a lot of like Dado play Destiny 2.
Yeah.
When I was big into Destiny 2 and stuff. I mean, I still am huge in Destiny 2, but yeah, back then, like before I even had an inkling of ever streaming, I did stream Black Ops 3 2 times from my console.
We don't talk about those days.
But yeah. I did do that. I did do that like 2 times for like probably 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But it was never like really like a realistic thought. It was kind of just like I might as well, you
Yeah.
know. And
Is there a reason why you lean heavily into like when you were doing the painting guns, why you leave it? Because I think from what I'm getting, you really liked Destiny 2 like a lot. From what it seems like, maybe a little bit
yeah,
more.
it's my favorite game of all time.
So why lean into Call of Duty with like your gun painting and like doing all that then? And because I feel like I know you from Call of Duty. I didn't even know you liked Destiny 2. So why not lean into Destiny more?
I think I really enjoy making Call of Duty content. I think for the stuff that I like to make content of, like I really like helping people. You know, so like I love doing like the patch notes reading and stuff like that, because it's something that like when I was younger, I've always been interested in the patch notes and stuff, but it was always like so long and not like in a digestible format.
Yeah. You are a godsend to so many creators who don't read that shit, me included.
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I love making that like, you know, I like making it just like easy for people to understand, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah, I also think like Call of Duty is a very energetic like type of game, right? Like there's a lot of events that you can like riff off of. I like being very high energy. And so, you know, you get a kill, you get a snipe, whatever, like that's like a moment that you can like really like, you know, get behind, right?
Yeah.
And so I really like that about Call of Duty. So I think a lot of that goes into it. I think somebody in my chat just said too, like promoting Destiny 2 is tough because it's so expensive, which is very, very true. Like
because it's expensive.
Yeah, like Destiny is to like play the game and like have all the content in the game is like several $100s at this point.
Yeah, no, I lucked out with one of my mods at this time because he was like wanting me to get into Destiny 2. I was like, it's a lot of money, and then he got that whole bundle. I was like, all right, I'll do it. It's a fun game. It's
a great, I love it. I think it's worth it. The Destiny community is just as toxic as the Call of Duty community, believe it or not.
I didn't run
in different ways.
That was my thing. I didn't run into a lot of toxicity. I think I was the most toxic person because I was expecting it. But I've got a lot of helpers, a lot of people who are wanting to Sherpa me through like raids.
Yeah, there is a lot of that, but the community is just like, it's insanely negative about the game, which is to me is wild because the game is so vast and there's so much to do.
Oh yeah,
but
somebody, well, when the latest expanse, what was it? It was like the Ninja Turtles guys.
Lightfall,
yeah. People were like, man, the story's dog shit. I was like, it's awesome.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Cool. Well, it doesn't really connect to point A to point Z. I was like, okay, I don't care. I'm having a great time. But I don't know. Yeah. Like I think that's where I'm at. And I think it's good for me. But I stay so far back away from gaming communities where I'm like, oh, this is a great game. They're like, actually, it's fucking dog shit because they didn't combine this. I was like, to someone new, this is fantastic. Maybe that's...
Yeah, I think it's games are made for casual players, right? And like if you are enjoying the game in a casual perspective, like games are great right now. Like games are really great for a casual gamer.
Yeah.
You know, I think anytime you get into the hyper like sweat type of player or like somebody who's very, very invested in a game, has thousands and thousands of hours in the game, like it's very hard for devs to make a game for those people because like the forethought that has to go into that. Like I saw a really interesting interview with one of the people who's developing the next Skyrim or whatever, the next Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah.
And they were like, when we made Skyrim, we never expected people to play this game for, what is it, 10 years now? Did it come out 10 years ago?
It's got to be longer than that, bro. It's gotta be.
Yeah,
It's long.
And so they were like, now we have the challenge of people expecting this next game to have that same or longer life cycle.
Yeah.
And that's like an insane challenge to create like gameplay loops that will be like available for that long.
Do you think it's unfair for the developers to have that expectation for a $70 game?
I think probably. Yeah. I think probably. I think that's like, you know, and I think like it's a tough line, right? Like it's
yeah.
Because, you know, as a consumer, you want a finished game and you should get a finished game.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, where's the line of like, okay, this is the game, and then the other stuff after is going to be post game or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I don't envy game devs at AAA studios at all.
Nope.
that is a rough place to be, because I don't think there's any. It's very hard to please the fan bases out there.
I feel like there is no pleasing the fan bases. Like even when people were like, "Oh shit, games are going to $70," I was like,
"Yeah,
I understand." Like I played. I've been playing the new Diablo 4. Motherfucker, that game might be worth $70 just for the cinematics. Like, I've been playing it, and I think one thing that I'm seeing people get annoyed with, which is understandable, is everything getting rushed. I'm annoyed that Elder Scrolls has taken 100 years to make, but I would rather them take another 5 years to get a game done and get it finished.
That works.
Yep. Yeah. That's where I'm at. I'm fine with paying 70. But if we have the same issues and I'm paying 70, that's where I'm getting frustrated. But
I feel that.
And it's fine, but I think once somebody else, I think I might have seen another interview, but it was like a gaming documentary. Is like, once you could put patches in a game and fix a broken disc because of software, I think it was great because you could do that, but it also kind of gave a little room to mess up.
Yeah, live service has, it's definitely, for the most part, I think Diablo is like, that should be like the new gold standard for like a live service game, because that game launched with very few issues. And
we're talking about Diablo.
Yeah. And that is a complete game, right? Like I personally, I had a lot of fun with Modern Warfare 2 at launch, but had a lot of issues. It was like very much unplayable on like some consoles.
Yeah.
And you know, it was just clearly unfinished, right? Like season 4 just came out, and season 4 is, this feels like the game we should have gotten at launch, right? Yeah. Like this feels like, and that's not the devs' fault. That's just simply they don't have enough time, right?
Yeah.
And that's like, I think that's like the biggest thing is like the studios and, you know, the publishers, they put these very unrealistic deadlines for a lot of these games, and, you know, I think they do their best, and, you know, tough. It's a tough spot, dude, because it's, you know, because I think the developer and the like publishers are like, listen, we can sell this game, it'll make $2 billion at launch, and it doesn't matter that it's unfinished, because you'll just finish it over the next 6 months, and then you're going to win back those people in those 6 months, right?
But I don't feel like you have the people win back, dude. Like I think the money says it to them, right? Like people buy the game. People buy the game year after year after year, and like, you know, you don't win those people back probably in that life cycle, but people hear enough about like, oh, the game's good now, right? Yeah.
And then these studios are masters of hype. they're absolute masters of hype, and they just,
Yeah.
you know,
I
they're
think
like,
I think
the new game comes out, and they're like, listen, this is dope.
Yeah. I think it's tough right now because I remember Cyberpunk when it first got announced, which was like, what was it? Like,
Yeah.
It was like 9 years ago. Saw that cinematic. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then the
That
first
was
day
a big
it
one for me
dropped,
too.
I stopped playing it.
Same.
Because
I haven't touched it since.
And
people say that game is awesome now.
that's where it's hard for me because I was so disappointed
Yeah.
with not with what they took out because they were like, hey, we can't put this game in, but how it ran at the start. And I had a beefy PC at the time. It wasn't my specs, it wasn't anything I did wrong. Like, but I remember
the game just ran like ass.
But I watched the anime. Anime was fantastic. Played the game for a little bit and then stopped again. I was like, I just don't care anymore. Like it's gone. It's
okay,
gone.
but okay, if they were to come out with a Cyberpunk 2, would you play it?
I would try it.
Oh, there you go.
Sure. But they got to make a whole new game, so it'll take another 20 years. Like, I will say that's where I also did my own research on digging on who was actually at fault with pushing out a game because I thought it was the developers. I was like, what are you doing? But I didn't know there was so much more behind the scenes of like, you need to get this game out now. Like, they took a lot of time making the game, but seeing the clips I've seen, it makes sense. I'm fine with a work of art being created in 10 years as long as it comes out as beautiful as they meant it to be. I think games nowadays are creating way more intense worlds and way more bigger worlds. That's why Elder Scrolls, I get annoyed every time. I'm like, okay, man, they're pushing it back and it's not going to come out for another 5 years. Fable, I've been waiting for a new Fable for a long time and it got announced. I was like, don't rush it. Don't make it bad, please. Cause now that it's on the radar, I want to get excited. I think it's also and I don't know. This is where I get frustrated with content creator hype because it can build a game. It can build a game up. I mean, dude, it's one of those things where like you get so hyped up for it and then every content creator is like, we're going to play this new game and it's going to be amazing. This game sold record sales. Oh, it's dog shit and crashes. Oh, okay. And then that can also tank it immediately. Like with and I think
100%.
One of the games that started that was No Man's Sky. Do you remember when that game first came out? And they advertised all this stuff and then it came
sick.
out.
It looked so sick.
But it was one of the developers that was able to get the worst score on a game and turn it into like, we did everything above and beyond. We are so sorry. We did everything that we said, and now it's still revered as an amazing game.
Yep.
But I'm one of those gamers that's like, if you screw up that much, I'm not gonna revisit your game. At least not anytime soon. Like, because I just don't believe that it can be all fixed that quickly.
Right. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Do you think? I mean, talking about like content creators hyping everything up and like people making videos and everything everyone's kind of wanting to be a part of something. So I think I understand why the Call of Duty and Destiny scene can be so cliquey because like they all want to stay together kind of thing. I think that's where with Warzone, I was excited to play with friends. Did I give a fuck about Call of Duty? Not really. I didn't grow up playing Call of Duty. I grew up playing Kingdom Hearts and crying my eyes out and shit like that.
Right.
Like I played more single player stories, but with the way that the world is working with our jobs, do you think it can be a content creator's fault for a game flopping or doing well?
I don't know. I think that's tough because I think like I don't think anybody is going out there. I mean, I'm sure there's like an exception to these rules, right? But like, I don't think any content creator is going out there and like hyping up a bad game on purpose, right? You know what I mean? Like they want everybody wants the games to be good, right? Everybody's like going into a game and is like, you know, I remember a couple months ago there was a huge thing with like there was a dev call with Call of Duty,
I was
and
thinking
like a
about
bunch of the
that.
creators came out and were like Warzone is going to be saved, right? And like they didn't like they didn't come out of that call and like were like
Hey, if you
I'm
lie,
gonna,
yeah,
me when I purposely spread misinformation on the internet, like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, why would they do that? Like, I think they were just genuinely
Yeah.
excited because they want the game to be good.
Yeah.
Like Call of Duty's been in a rough spot for this year, especially.
yeah,
And like, you know, in that call, because I've been in those calls now since then,
uh-oh.
and I know how they go, right? And like it's very easy to hear what the devs say because the devs are excited. Like the devs aren't. I think there's like a weird misconception that like people think that devs are out there like, you know, twiddling their mustache and are like. And they're like, I'm purposely making this really bad decision. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think the devs are making the game that they want to make, and they're excited to share that with content creators, and like they're excited to share that with other people. And so then they get in these calls with content creators, and they're like, yo, like, check this out. This is what we're doing. Like, we're really excited to share with you. And then that hypes up the creators because they're fans of the game, right? Like nobody, I mean, there's probably some people, but like for the most part, everybody who's in those calls are like massive fans of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So then when the devs of Call of Duty are like, yo, like we're making this change, or they're like, there's like a hot word that they say that like is something that like people have been like really excited for, like those content creators are just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's tough. Like people are just want to be excited, and I think like it makes it really tough. You know, if like something doesn't follow through, or like something doesn't follow through to the magnitude that they expect. And I think people's expectations just need to be like in check a little bit, like across the board, content creators and viewers in general. Like I think everybody just like, you know, like I think it's like it's the same thing with like movies and stuff too. Like people have this expectation of something when they go into something, and when it's not exactly what they expect, they immediately hate it. Like there's no like middle ground anymore. It's like either like great or terrible, or like everything is mid, like whatever the fuck that means. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like,
but that's where like I can enjoy a game, and then people are like, "Oh, you like this fucking game, even this mechanic?" And I'm like, "Oh, maybe I didn't like it. I don't know." Like, and I don't know if that's inherently bad because you want a game to be better, but I don't know if it just literally sucks the joy out of everything, because like it's either the best thing ever or like exactly what you said, or garbage. That's where I felt bad, because I'm outside Call of Duty. I was excited just to play it because I casually play it. I actually enjoy casually playing Call of Duty. Am I going for 360 no scopes? No, because I'm not that guy. I'm not that dude. I'm not a competitive shooter. I realize I don't like doing that. I realize that's not where my content does really well. But what killed me was watching creators, like you said, who are very excited about the game, who are like, "Hey, this is going to be the season. We're back, baby. We're back to where." And then once that released, nothing changed. Everyone lost their fucking mind.
Yeah.
Started saying like, I'm not gonna say that, but like, I'm not trying to out any creator, but But I think that was also one of the first instances where creators were invited into a call and some were objectively just lied to.
And I think
rather intentionally like, or not. I don't want to put you in a place because you have those calls, and I'm not trying to do that, but it's wild. Like that was where.
Yeah. When I think like, I mean, I think I can say this, like respect to like the devs, because I wasn't in that specific call, but my first call I was a part of was, I believe, the one after that, the next one, and they didn't talk about it. like the last call, but
Yeah.
they were like listen, like we learned some things, and so we're gonna be omitting like some stuff that we like wouldn't have talked about, right? Like the biggest hot thing was like the movement, and so like now they're like, listen, we're not gonna tell you about any of that type of change. You're just gonna have to wait for the patch notes there, so you can see exactly our words.
Yep.
And like I respect that, you know. I mean, it sucks. Like obviously you'd like to hear that about that beforehand if you have that opportunity, but like, you know, they were like, listen, like they probably were like, shit, you know, like they don't want anybody to get heat, you know what I mean? Like just the same way that they don't want to get heat.
What?
And you know, so it's like, yeah, I respect it. I respect it for sure that they, you know, that they were able to like kind of make that change and like identify that they probably did something wrong there. You know, and it's, I think there's probably many different parties at fault there, but
I have a question, genuinely, because I don't look at Vondel or the new stuff and think it's dog shit. I don't because I'm not, but I'm also not a huge Call of Duty person. Your take only. Yeah. If it started with Warzone 2, if that was the starting place, do you think anyone would have any fucking issues with the game?
I think there would be minor issues. Like if we got season 4 for like launch, is what you're saying?
Kind of like like removing Warzone 1 Verdansk. That didn't exist. Caldera didn't exist. Starting with Warzone 2 and making that where everything started. Do you think that would have been good by itself, or do you think
probably?
Yeah. Because I see a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of nostalgia. And I think, like, I mean, rightfully so, right? You played a game for years and you got very used to mechanics and stuff like that. And the way that game felt was very good.
Yeah.
I think Warzone 2 at launch was not very good. I think its current state is much better. And I think if the current state is what we got at launch, and if we never got Warzone 1, if like the current state of the game is what we got, like I think people would very, very much like it. You know, obviously there's like little things for sure. And like with me personally, would I like more movement? Absolutely. Yeah. But you know, like I think they've made a lot of improvements to the game. And I'm like, I didn't play the game for most of season 3. Like I was done. I just didn't like it. Yeah. And I wasn't gonna force myself to play a game that I didn't want to play, and was just like not having fun on.
Well, you pivoted really well with your own content.
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I always try to be like as much of me as I possibly can. Yeah. And you know, and so it was scary for sure. And like I think I've probably lost some percentage of viewers or whatever. But like our core community has stuck around and hung out through whatever I've done. So like we've played all kinds of different variety of games. I am kind of hooked on Warzone again because I think the game's actually pretty good now. But you know, because I did that like experimenting and stuff, like I love the painting and I'm going to continue doing the painting.
Yeah. I saw that Twitter post of you spraying all black on a what type of gun was that in Call of Duty?
It's a AMAX.
Yeah.
It's like the GOAT.
Very excited to see what that.
Yeah, actually, so after the podcast today, I'm going to do a little bit of work on that.
Hell yeah.
But
would you explore any other franchises outside of Call of Duty with that type of stuff? Like gun painting and stuff?
Yeah, so I've done I did a hammer from Fortnite. I might do some stuff in Destiny. So like the interesting thing for me with the painting is like I don't do the 3D printing part. Mm-hmm. That's like my friend does that part and then sends them to me, and like I like the painting. So like what's fun for me with the Call of Duty stuff is there's so many camos and so many different blueprints and stuff. Yeah. And like that's the fun part for me, is doing all of the camos and doing all the blueprints and like that artistic part of it. So like I've had people like hit me up and they're like, yo, like can you do an obsidian? And I'm like,
that'd be dope as shit.
but it's just black.
That's still hot. That's
Like
sexy.
but it's like, but like for, that's not fun for me. Like that's like that's just black.
I get what
You
you
know.
mean. Would you have you taken like would you take paid commissions for it?
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like weird doing that a little bit because it's like, you know, like how do I do this Damascus, you know, and sell that for X amount, and then this is so much. I mean, obviously I would price them differently, but like it's like a weird, it's like a weird spot because it's like I didn't start doing this to like start a business.
Right.
Right. Like I'm doing it like for fun for the most part, and like because I had stopped painting for like several years, and it was fun to get back to it with this stuff. And yeah, it's just interesting. It's just interesting because like it's just been fun. But like Destiny, I could see myself making some Destiny pieces, but again, like there isn't like the cool camos. You know what I mean? Like
There's no camos, but there's some sick guns.
There is some cool stuff. Yeah. There is definitely some cool stuff. But yeah, I'm not opposed to doing anything. Like I have a commission to do a Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts. But I'm gonna use it more of like a canvas. So like it will be a Keyblade, and then I'm gonna paint like characters all over it and stuff like that.
Dope as shit. Please post that.
Which,
I would love that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a cool one. That's gonna be a cool one for sure.
With your content, even stepping away from Call of Duty, and you kind of going in, I don't know, would you call it more variety? Because I feel like
probably
or more because you did a lot.
I'd still probably say I'm like 70% Call of Duty, but.
Would you like to be more variety? Would you like to be in that area, or are you happy with where you're at right now?
I think yes. I think it is important to have like a main game. Just to like give yourself like a little bit of structure.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I mean in some cases, like for other content creators, like that main game could be like just chatting, right? Like a main focus,
yeah, like gaming the viewers.
Yeah, you know,
manipulating the viewers. That's a fun game.
I think, yeah, I think like having that main focus is like important, probably. But yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, yeah, like variety would be the goal for sure. You know, and just being able to do whatever. Like I have a good friend of mine, Mike Check, who does all kinds of different games. Yeah. He started this Call of Duty mostly too. And like he's been playing all kinds of stuff. Been playing Zelda, he's been playing I think Diablo. And yeah, I mean it's, you know, it's all about just the people, right?
Also, I appreciate you doing this while you're sick. For those who don't know.
Yeah, no problem.
I appreciate that, son.
But yeah, I think like variety is like the ultimate goal for sure. But you know, at the end of the day, like I just want to be able to play whatever I'm having fun with, right? Like I never want to force myself into a spot where I'm not having like I'm like having to play a game that I'm not having fun with.
That's where it's hard for me. Like that's where manning a game's hard because I get bored so quickly, and I have such a resting. Even right now, I'm enjoying this conversation, but my eyebrows are so furrowed. Like I just look angry. And imagine that, but with something I don't like doing, I just can't fake it. I can't fake being into something that's crap. Like I can do a job 9 to 5 and not enjoy the job, but know it's paying me. But I feel like it's different with content creation because you have to be entertaining and playing a game that you don't like right now. I think that's where I'm more curious about, like you to quote what you just said, like you kind of have, like it might be better for you just to have a base game that you just go back to and have that structure. At what point would you abandon that base game and start something new? Like at what would it take for you to just be like, I I can't anymore. And like, I don't know if we don't have to talk about Call of Duty, but just a game in general, because I don't want to ruin any private calls or anything. I don't want to try to get you.
No, I mean, I've always been open about like if I'm liking the game or not. And I think I've experienced it, right? Like I wasn't having fun with Call of Duty, and I didn't play it for weeks. And I mean, that's like, you know, it's not the only thing that pushed me to start the painting again, because that's an idea I've had for a long time. But it definitely pushed me to like, I played some Destiny on stream. I played Cult of the Lamb on stream. I've done, you know, more just chatting. I did some React content. Like, I think like I've always been one, even in my Call of Duty content, to like never stick with one thing. Right? Like, like, you know, I used to do a lot of loadout stuff, and like I still do. Because I think at the end of the day, like I still got to pay the bills, and you know, loadout stuff is where the views are on YouTube, and that's how you make money on YouTube, is with the views. And I'll never make something I'm not enjoying making. Like I still have fun making that content. It's not like, you know, it's not like I'm like chained to the desk and like like hating my life making this content. Like I would never do that.
Some creators, it feels like they are doing that. I'm like, you can leave, man. You don't have to be here. Like,
right.
Like,
right. But yeah, no, I'm always trying new stuff. Always trying like new formats, new different things. And like I'm gonna start doing, I used to do a bunch of challenges in Call of Duty. Yeah. And like I didn't think, up to this point, I didn't really think like challenges were really, I don't want to say like, it's not that they weren't easy, it was just like much harder to like get a challenge going in the game, because there just like wasn't that much variety in the gameplay. And I think now the game's in a much better spot that like I can do that. Yeah. And so like that's something I'm gonna be doing like in the next couple of weeks, is like doing some more challenges and stuff like that, which is like a ton of fun for me. But yeah, just always trying new shit.
Yeah. Is there anything, and I'm always curious about this because I feel like people are doing different things. Do you wish that you had started doing the painting thing now, or do you think it's at a perfect time? Not just the painting, but like kind of creating more. Because I really am seeing a lot of my buddies reach out and do different things, and so I'm always wondering if there's like a regret that you didn't do it earlier, or if you're just really like, this is it, perfect timing. Like how do you?
I don't know. I mean, like if I were to change anything, like who knows if I would have ended up at this spot, right? Yeah. So it's like, it's tough. I mean, like, sure, like, would I have liked to do, like, if I had painted that Damascus car at the height of Warzone, like, I don't know, like, that might have been crazy. I don't know, but I have it now, so you know, I think there's so much I've learned about content up to this point that like now I have a better idea of like how to package that into a piece of content, where before I didn't really know, right? Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, like I posted on Twitter, I still got 1 million views. So it's like, I don't know if like that it could have been much better than that, even like, you know, back in the day. So
yeah. And in a world about every content creator thinking that they're shadow banned, there's people like you who get 1 million views.
No, I mean, it's just like, and I don't mean that to like.
No,
boast,
I meant that.
Like,
I meant that in a good way. Dude.
Yeah.
I want to add. Maybe this can lead to another topic, but I want to ask, and I see this with every single one of my like mutuals, whatever. If they do real well, they can't talk about it. Can we? Why? Why is that a thing?
Yeah, I've always told like even like my homies that like I'm in like Discord with, like I'm always saying celebrate your like even the smallest win. Like it's I'll never understand like why people are so scared to like, post a number. Like,
But why are we catering to insecure people? Like, I'm sorry. Like, there's a, and to be, this is probably where the bitterness comes out in me, and you can probably help me with this, but there's a point where empathy starts overriding someone's worth and boundaries. And that's where I've seen so many people who I look up to in content, and they're like, well, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, and posted his success. I think if he hadn't have done that, it wouldn't have led to other people posting success. I think it would have been fucked up. Me personally would have viewed if you would have kept that win to yourself and been like, we did great, but I don't want to brag. I don't know where the intention comes from, it bragging to, man, I'm so fucking proud of myself. You know what I mean? Like, it, I don't know if it's catering. I don't know how to word it properly, but I don't know if it's catering to insecure viewers or insecure people or insecure communities, or if it's a self-worth thing of like, I don't deserve this. I don't want to talk about it. I'll just go back to being nothing. Like, I don't know, but I've seen that so much recently, and it sucks because I need to see wins on my timeline.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just like, people are very negative these days, and like, I think, I mean, like, I'll give a personal example. Like, a couple weeks ago, I got to do probably the coolest thing I've gotten to do in my content creation journey so far, and that was, I got invited to Infinity Ward to play the new map early.
Hell yeah.
And like,
I saw that.
And like,
awesome.
that was like, to me, that was like the coolest fucking thing on the planet. Like, I never in a million years would have thought that like I would have gotten to do that, right?
Yeah.
And like, just like going from like, I was talking to my friend Sandra, I'm like, who's also a content creator and also like one of my best friends since I was a little kid. And so like, me and him used to sit like in his den, play Modern Warfare 2 like for hours and hours and hours with our code red. We had like, all this stuff. Like, you know what I mean?
I can smell like, Doritos.
Just like thinking about that to now getting to play the new, like going to that same studio that made that game.
Yeah.
And getting to play the new Modern Warfare 2 early before anybody else. Like, that was just like such an unbelievable experience, right?
Yeah.
And so, posted all that stuff, and I got a lot of encouragement for sure, which was absolutely amazing. But I also got a few people who were like why not me? And like, and I just tried to like, I think that's where it comes from, is like people see that and they focus on that, right? Like me, I ignored that, obviously.
Good.
But like,
good.
Like, I think there's other people who post like their wins and are like, they get some pushback from people who are, either jealous or, whatever. And then they're, they take it negatively that they posted that, right? And I think a lot of it too is like people also compare themselves to others too much, right? Especially in content. It's like really dangerous thing to do, and I'm guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it, right? Like, you look at your peers and it's like, damn, this person exploded and I'm still sitting at the same spot, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's tough, like, and that's it's a very toxic thing to do to yourself, to do that. But I think that's what holds people back a lot of the times from like talking about their wins or like posting their wins. Like, like, just because you just saw somebody post that they got 1 million views on something, that doesn't mean that your 10,000 views on something is any less impressive.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you're not normally getting that 10,000 views, or even if you are, like, if you're consistently getting that, that's still a win. Like, in your journey, that's what matters. Like, not every video has to be 1 million views. Not everything has to be this huge, insane success, right? Like, this, the smallest little thing can be something, that you can celebrate.
Yeah. I had One, I can't really keep this to myself. I think if someone calls you friend and they look at themselves whenever you win, is like, why can't I fucking do that?
Mm-hmm.
Selfish. You don't have to say it. I will. Selfish. Completely selfish. Take a moment, get your weeping eyes off of yourself, and congratulate your friend. Takes nothing to do that. It takes nothing to give flowers. Dude, oh my god, I'm like frustrated. I could cry. Like, it's so frustrating because, like, I think I've been around communities where I'm watching people succeed, and then I'll be like, she didn't even fucking deserve that. He didn't even fucking, like, he just lucked out, motherfucker. Nobody lucks out online anymore. Like it is such a rare feat to have like somebody luck out and it be a positive thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a crazy thing that it happens so rarely to where I always be like, good job, good shit. Love that. Thank God. Like, good, great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're succeeding because nobody else is right now. Like, it's not a ton of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think,
and I think I think a lot of it too is like, I mean, it's like it kind of like what we talked about at the beginning. Like, I think people are very bitter. And people don't.
You can just say my name.
No, I just like I think people are just like very bitter about a lot of things these days, and I think people aren't willing to learn, right? Like, I'll throw a creator's name out that, like, this is a positive story, this is a negative
thank
story.
God. I was like, oh shit.
But like a buddy of mine, his name's Aaron Loco. He used to be called Captain Sexy, and for the longest time I've been following him and like played with him and been friends with him for a long time at this point. And he works his ass off, absolutely works his ass off, always trying to improve his stream quality, always trying to improve his show, like him as an entertainer. He is amazing, and his content, he's always evolving it, all of this stuff. And for a very, very long time, like, he didn't have like a ton of eyes on him. Like, he had decent success, but like, you know, it wasn't anything like, you know, anything to like write home about, right?
Yeah.
And Warzone 2 dropped and he exploded. And I think there's probably people who didn't know who he was before, right? And see that and they're like, well, like, why? Like, he just went from 30 average viewers to 400 like overnight. Yeah. Like, and it, you know, why? Like, why? Like, and it's like they don't see all of that work he put in, all of that extra, you know what I mean? All that extra stuff that he's been planning. Like, none of these like overnight blowups happen overnight, right? Like, they're all, these people have been grinding and these people have been honing their craft, and they're just waiting for that moment that they can blow up, right? And then when it comes, they're ready.
I think that's what's crazy too, is I've seen, like, at least like what I've seen is that, especially on YouTube, is people are like, well, I got a lot of viewers, check out my YouTube. There's like 2 videos on their channel. And people are like, okay, well, are you going to make any more? Like, why am I subscribing here? Like, people want the followers and the subscribers and the viewership without ever setting any grounding, without there ever being a base. And I think it's wild when you do see some dude. Okay, Big E, one of the guys who everyone has an opinion on. I like him a lot, but I also watched him when he was on Twitch. I also watched him when he was on YouTube. I also watched him when he was trying out other shit, and he capped at 30 viewers at his most. Knew everyone, was watching everyone, was doing a really good job. Production level was off the walls. Moves to kick. After watching him set up years of shit, years of videos, vlogs, gaming content, whatever, car shit that I don't give a fuck about, all the stuff, like, and then he gets it. that opportunity was seen with success, with videos, with tweets, with skits. Not only were his viewers who were new they came to eat. He had a buffet ready for them. He was preparing that table, that dinner table for all those guests. He had all that shit ready. And then I started seeing some of the wildest fucking takes. Well, if I put Kick CEO in my name, I'm sure it would blow up. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, and that's just, I mean, that's, yeah, exactly. Like, that's just like people are not willing to understand the work, right? People aren't willing to like actually look into it. You know what I mean? And learn like a good creator would look at Biggie and be like, holy shit, like how?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how did this happen? Not like, oh.
Yeah.
You know?
That's where I kept seeing your
like
name.
Like Fluffy said too. Yeah, he has been Apple and YouTube CEO and Twitch CEO before too.
That's true.
So he's been CEO a couple of times, guys. Come on, listen.
It finally worked. No, but that's where what's crazy about you is I saw your name floating around everywhere. Never checked out a stream. And then finally I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go in. Walked in. It was a show. It was amazing. I think I walked in. I once watched you and kind of stalked you a little bit while you're painting. And then I finally came in and talked. And the way that you did everything was like, you just bounced someone right into where your world is. And I think you do such a good job of like plucking someone out of their seat, being like, I'm going to just stand back. It's like, no, you're not. You're going to come in here and you're going to join. I think you do such a good job.
I appreciate that.
You do. Yeah. Because I think there's a way that, I hate the word community when it comes to streaming, but like you do a really good job of inviting everyone in. It's like an open house kind of thing. Like you walk in, there's a party going on, but you're actively making your way around the table to see other. Maybe it's like a wedding to where like it's your wedding, but you're like saying hey to everyone, making sure they feel important. You do such a fucking killer job at that. And I think that's also what's kind of off-guarding is the fact that you listen to the most aggressive music known to man. I didn't want to, like, that's why this shit is awesome. Hold on. Like, that is amazing. That right there, and the fact that your community is called the Wash Pit, which, by the way, only community that I've ever fucking cared about the name. It makes sense. Like,
yeah. I love that.
I think that was also one of the coolest things because I started putting pieces together. I was like, okay, listen, man, did you grow up really sweet too? Like you got probably mistreated. Okay. No, I relate to this childhood. But with coming up, I want to ask with bringing that in, why correlate it to your taste in music? Why correlate it with that? Or if that's unless that's just a giant part of you.
It is a giant part of me for sure. I think the biggest reason why streaming like was such a like immediate love was like I used to perform in metal bands when I was younger. And like being on stage was everything, right? Like that was the best feeling in the world, being on stage. And when I go live for the first time, I like, because I had stopped, right? Like in college, you know, shit happens, right? Like I just stopped performing. And then I never had that feeling again. And it wasn't something I thought about all the time, like missing that feeling, but I was missing that feeling. And when I hit go live for that first time, like I was like, wait a second, here we are.
Yeah
Here we are. And yeah, so like that was immediately I was like, okay, this makes sense. So everything, like from my branding and everything is tied back to my like past life in music. And like, you know, for those of you who've like seen my streams or you know, been in the streams or anything, like, you know, like I try to make it as much of a show as possible. And Yeah, it's kind of.
I don't. This might not sound like a compliment, but I mean it in a compliment. I think you're one of the people who doesn't need to be. You have really high energy, but you don't need it to be likable.
Yeah.
I think you're one of the few creators where you can be normal and be genuinely enjoyable to listen to without being like, "Oh my god, crazy!" like all the time. Because there's times where that happens and there's that, but I think it's also nice when it's just like, oh, I can talk to you. Like, oh, I can like sit and have a conversation with Wash and like see what he's like and see what's going on. Like, you do such a good job with it. It's just, you're a fucking Renaissance dude, man. Like, it's rare. Like,
I appreciate that.
I think that's what I'm more excited about looking into content creators in 2023 is like, what else do you do? Oh, you just play Call of Duty? That's, all right, cool. What else do you do? Nothing? Great. I think that's so cool about you is you're great at conversation. You're definitely an artist. And when it comes to like how you bring people in, it's just like, like there's more. There's a buffet of Wash. Like, you know what I mean? It's so sick.
Yeah. I mean, that's like something I've always, because I have a very obsessive personality. So like, I've gone through like many phases of my life of like, absolutely going all head first 100% into things. And so I have a lot of interests. But I try to share like all of those, right? I try to bring all of that. And like the painting was like, that's the most recent thing that I hadn't really shared. Were
you worried about sharing that nobody would care? I mean, with some of these interests.
For sure. Okay. For sure. Like I I mean, I think like my stream was such high energy and everything. Painting is such a departure from that. I was very scared about like, okay, like will anybody care? Right? Like will anybody, it's like such a different thing that it can be hard to relate to. And it can, I mean, I still think I struggle with it a little bit. Like it's still a very fresh idea where it's like, okay, like when I do a painting stream, like how can I still make it as interactive as I want it to be?
Yeah.
And like, keep people entertained. And the other piece, how do I bring people into that? Right. Because it's like, the core people in the community are coming to hang out regardless, because they know it's going to be fun. But people outside the community, it's like, yo, I'm going to be painting on stream today. To some people, that sounds like, what the fuck could be more boring than literally watching paint dry? Like,
I think that's what's tough is like you're told to niche down as a creator and like pick your niche and don't move outside of it. And so to see, because no fucking normal humans like that.
Right.
Like as a content creator, you're pinned to do that. You do one thing and you don't do anything else. But humans don't work like that at all. I'm pretty sure I watch a million content creators who do a million different things, but they're stuck in their own niche to where if they try something new, I don't really reach out. I don't really go out because someone else who is very, very well-rounded, I want to watch their stuff. So I think that's where I'm curious about how you went about bringing that side up, and if it was just absolutely terrifying, because you can't just be interested in one thing. There's no way, unless you are a piece of paper and you're just interested in a pencil. That's it.
Yeah. It was terrifying for sure.
Yeah.
It was very scary because it was like, it was at a time where like I was like really struggling like mentally, just like the game is down bad. Like at the end of Rebirth, like my content on YouTube and everything was zooming. Stream was going great. Content was going just like through the roof. Like everything was like going insanely well, right?
Yep.
Like numbers wise. And like, I try not to like focus on numbers, but that's how you make like this being my career now, like that is important, right?
Yeah.
So like when Warzone 2 came out and like everything just like came to a sudden stop and halt.
Yeah.
like it was very, very tough to deal with. Like just mentally, and just like seeing like members of the community that like had been there for a very, very long time just vanish. Like that was like one of the hardest things for me to deal with. So like like kind of jumping off that ledge and being like, yo, I'm gonna paint, was like huh? Like that shit was scary. It was scary.
You know, saying that sounds goofy. Fuck it. I'm painting. I'm painting today.
Fuck it. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna paint. And yeah, it was really scary. But you know, obviously the support was there, and I'm very happy I did it, because like it rekindled a love for something that like I hadn't been able to explore for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Did that kind of give you more fire or like ammunition to keep doing, like pushing through the COD content when it wasn't fun? That like you knew you were like, okay, I have an outlet. Like, because I feel like the painting streams do pretty well, and you're able to cultivate that still amazingly well. So I don't know, like, would you want to add a third thing in there? Like, would you want to test that? Or are you just like, I'm good right now. I have my outlet that calms me down whenever Warzone decides to suck ass, and then I can go back to Warzone.
I'll forever be changing and always trying new stuff. Okay. Like when Marathon comes out, I'll be 100% playing Marathon. Like, like I'm a big Bungie guy. So like I have all of the confidence in the world that game's going to be great.
Yeah, Marathon got a lot of attention. Well, actually, hold on. Let me ask you a question. Because I saw this on Twitter, and they were like, I hate that they're pouring their PvP efforts into Marathon instead of Destiny 2. Do you feel like that's true?
Yeah, but like to me, Destiny 2 was never a PvP game. Like
I don't think it's solely PvP. I think the world was PvE.
I mean, like you can play PvP, but like where that game shines is PvE.
Yeah.
And
I'm an outsider,
that's
so I
my
didn't
feeling.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's my feeling. And like for me personally, I never went to Destiny to play PvP. Like I played it for raids and for all the other like pinnacle content.
Yeah.
And like if you're a PvP player, like I do feel for them, because like it's dog shit. But like but like for me, like that's not what the game is like meant for. You know what I mean? So like for me, like Bungie has made insane things, right? Like they started out and they were like, we're gonna make the best first person shooter in the world, and they made fucking Halo.
Yeah.
And then they made Halo 2, and then they made Halo 3, and they improved on it every time, right? And then they were like, okay, cool, we're done with Halo. Give it to them who we will not name, and run the franchise into the ground.
You don't want to talk about it? You don't want to talk about that? What about the new BR that they tweeted out? That's not a BR.
That was crazy. They knew what they were doing there, and that was crazy,
dude.
Although I will say, people did not do any research, because I saw the little teaser and I was like, BR, and then I clicked on Halo and it was like infected with the same icon that is on the teaser and on the tweet, and I was like, oh, this isn't BR at all. This is infected. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna get excited.
Yeah, I think Halo's. It will never. You can't make it feel like it's former glory, and I think they threw it away.
Infinite is really good with zero support. It is a really, really good base game, and they just let it die. It's really sad.
I don't think people think it deserves support. That's where I think Microsoft is like, it'll do well on its own. No, it won't. Treat it like you would your other like IPs, bro.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
But it drives me insane. I think Halo Infinite in custom matches were great. It was awesome because it made me feel like back in the old days.
Yeah. I loved it. Like the first like 2 weeks or whatever was fire.
Yeah.
The game was fire. Felt so good. Like it felt like old Halo mixed with like the more new school Halos. It was great. Like even ranked was super fun for like the first like couple days. And then I was like, okay, I'm bored.
Yeah. What else? Oh, the game's not fully out? Oh, okay, cool. So we get the game like fully in a
season 2 in like a year and a half. great. Yeah, awesome. It's very misguided, very misguided.
They should
But
have just waited. That's what kills me. There would be no bad mark on them if they had just fucking waited and said, hey, you know what? We're not ready yet. We think you deserve the best product. We're going to wait. Why? That's what. It's just that's what ruins shit for me. Like even Big Rob, that's like his favorite game. And he's always going to be that golden retriever boy hoping for his master to come home, but he ain't going to come home.
Yeah.
He died.
I know. I think it's wild. I will forever think that Halo not coming out with a BR is the biggest sell job in the history of gaming.
Yeah.
Because they had such an opportunity to do something so special. And like
they half-assedly tried it with Last Spartan Standing.
Yeah, and like that was, you gotta full send it. Like, I don't know. Like for me, not every game needs a BR, and I fully understand that. However, in the gaming landscape that this is, like, if you want the game to be truly massive, right? Mm-hmm. I think the like only real exception to this rule is Counter-Strike and Valorant, but those are very specific types of games. Like I think that's like in that argument, that's the thing that people fail to realize is like those games have like a truly specific audience that they're going after. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But like in the shooter landscape, that's what I'll say, not in the gaming landscape, because like there is games like League of Legends, shit like that like it's different, right?
Yeah, they're toxic.
And like there's tons of great single player games. Like single player games are in a great spot right now. There's so many good ones.
Yep.
But like in the shooters, I think you do need a BR. I think BR should be like needs to be as common as multiplayer. Like
because it's way more social. It's way more
traditional
social.
Multiplayer just like doesn't scratch the itch for the majority of people anymore, I think. And I think that's why Resurgence, and I'm so shocked that more games have not copied Resurgence, because Resurgence is the perfect combination of casual and like hardcore gaming, like for like BRs, right?
Absolutely.
Because like you can have fun, you don't like if you die, it's not the end of the world. Right.
Yeah.
But you still get that little juice from winning, right? Like you still get that little extra that you get from winning. And it's shocking to me that like the fact that Apex doesn't have a resurgence mode. If Apex were to get a resurgence mode tomorrow, it would be the most popular game in the world. Because like at least in like shooters, right? It would be huge. It would be massive, because there's so many people who are like unhappy with Call of Duty right now, but they just love Resurgence. So they play Resurgence. And like if Apex were to have Resurgence, it would be huge. It would be, I mean, it already is huge, but it would be even bigger. Like that's a whole nother audience that they're not capturing. And it's crazy to me.
Maybe. See, this is the question though. Did BRs ruin shooters or just require a higher expectation?
I don't know. I hate that question because it's like
I don't think it ruined it, but I
don't think it ruined it, but like it ruined it in a sense. Like there's like a mental gymnastics that you can take. You know what I mean? Like that it's like, yes, I guess like it probably soured traditional multiplayer a lot. Right? Like Call of Duty probably doesn't focus on the multiplayer experience near as much, even though it is different teams and they're working on different shit. But like the same amount of resources aren't there. But I think if multiplayer was still a fun and fresh experience, then people would play it. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the key.
I don't think it's ruined it. I think it did
I don't think so
call
either.
to a higher expectation, because when you win a BR, there is that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me, it's one of those things where I'm like, it's just it. I think games should be, especially multiplayer shooters, release it in different, like have different tiers. Extraction shooters, I haven't gotten into. I'm excited to try it out fully with Marathon, because when Marathon comes out, that's when I'm gonna like deep dive into that.
Yeah.
But battle royales and then arena shooters, I think they all have their place. But I think,
I agree, and I think I'll throw a game name out here that I think isn't getting near the attention that it deserves. But the finals is an arena shooter. It's an arena shooter, game. But it has a twist and it is addicting, and it has like a piece of BR kind of. The game is fucking amazing.
It's huge, bro.
It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible, and I hope when it fully releases, like it really gets the like love that it deserves.
Oh yeah.
But it is so good, and I think like that is like a good example of like, okay, like this is where we go, or like, okay, use Splitgate for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Use Splitgate for example. Splitgate is proof of concept for why traditional multiplayer can still be good and still be popular, because that game exploded because it was fun, it had a twist, and the only reason it died is the devs were just not ready for that, right? And they didn't have content lined up.
Yeah.
If they had content lined up for that game, it would be massive still. And I think the game just needs to be fun. It needs to be like unique. And this is, I don't know if this is gonna be like a hot take, but this is why I didn't love X Defiant.
X Defiant was. Go on. Yeah. I have my take. I'm curious about yours.
So it's like it's in beta right now, and it's a fun game. Game is really good actually.
Yeah.
But I think, and I don't know what their content strategy is, because I think it could do well. I think the game could do well, but they have basically copy and pasted a bunch of old Call of Duties, like all these great things from old Call of Duties, and basically make their own game out of it, which I think is really cool and why people like it so much right now. And I think it's feeding that nostalgia a little bit. But for me, when I play it, it's fun, but it doesn't hook me because it's fundamentally nothing new. Like it's literally all of these old games put together.
Yep.
And like it just doesn't feel new to me. So I think that's why I just like, it's a fun game. I think the game is good, but again, it's like it doesn't hook me. Like I want that.
You gotta have new. Yeah.
I gotta have I need like something else there.
Nostalgia's great.
Like something else.
On. Nostalgia is awesome to live back on and be like, man, these were great times. Awesome. Very rarely when you go back to a game and you're like, man, this still feels good. That's not true. It's limited. Fully. Like and I get what people say about the new Call of Duties, how it's pretty much even competitive, like competitive players, casual players. They have to make it that way. Now, guess what? Businesses wanting to sell money, they want to give it out to everyone. Back in the day, like Call of Duty, they didn't really also make the game to where you couldn't exploit it a little bit and like slide and cancel it because it was made to do one thing and the other. Now games understand why people didn't like the game or why they stopped playing the game, so they might have limited it to where it's more for the casual and a little bit less for the competitive. X Defiant, I feel like, is a competitive only game. You're only playing for competitive. You're only doing this because you want to be the top of the world. That's what I would put. I would put X Defiant in the same category as CS:GO and Valorant.
Yeah.
Like, you're going there because you're balls to the wall, just better than most people, and you want to feel that again, and you want to be able to like do those techniques. It's like playing old Smash Brothers Melee. I don't know if you like, people are murdering people in that game, but if you're a casual, you're like, how the fuck are you doing this shit? Like,
right.
I think that's, and I have no problem with X Defiant, but you're catering to a very, in my opinion, small minority of people. Like it's the top of the top, super good. You're going to be amazing at it if you can do that, which I don't think is bad. But I think that's where also I played it, got dunked on for like an hour, and I was like, I'm good. I'm going to go back. I'd rather play Animal Crossing. Like, I'd rather do something I know I'm semi-decent at. But I don't think that's a bad thing for a game, because I think it could also be a good reminder of like, okay, maybe this is why we moved a little bit away from that. Like, this may be why we didn't do that. Like, I think extraction shooters are going to be the next big thing, especially with how, what was the game that you said, the Finals? The way that Finals is made is like, but it's also made by the same people who made Battlefield, which I feel like did a great job at giant scale games.
Yeah, I think the finals has a very interesting opportunity, because I think the game is incredibly unique, incredibly satisfying. Has a skill gap, but you don't need to be insanely good at it. Like there's a strong skill gap there. But like, I think it's all going to depend on what they do with the game, because the game has so much potential, but if it's just the arena shooter that they have, I don't know. I just don't know if it's enough. I just don't know if it's enough to like get that broad audience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's a massive achievement if you can get a broad audience. A lot of people looking at your stuff, not just content creators, but casuals.
Yeah.
Like, that's an achievement. I think Marathon's going to do great. One, because it looks gorgeous and it's Bungie. I think, like, Bungie made a good Halo. It was called Destiny 2. You know what I mean? Like, the PvP in Destiny 2 reminds me of old Halo. And so to see them do this with an extraction shooter, will they keep kind of the same element? I have no idea. I'm excited because they've done well with everything they've touched.
Yeah, I think whatever they focus on, and this is the point I was kind of trying to make before I kind of rambled on.
You're good.
Like, they decided to make a great first-person shooter. They made Halo. They decided, they were like, okay, we're going to take that foundation that we just built, and now we want to make an MMORPG. And then they made Destiny. Yeah. And they fucking crushed it. Like, listen, like, people can say whatever they want. The game is still thriving 9 years later.
Yeah.
So there, like, that is enough to like tell you like they did a great freaking job.
Yeah.
With that. And now they're like, okay, cool. So we made that. Now we're going to take that foundation and we're going to combine both things that we just thrived at, and we're going to make a extraction shooter, which is PvP but also PvE.
Yeah.
And I just like, I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to just be absolutely crush it.
You signed up for the beta, right?
Of course.
Okay, good.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens. Also, I heard that Dr. Lupo is in an NDA with them and helping them make the game.
Yeah, I think there's a few people who like a few important people that are involved.
What I don't want is them to take those content creators and be like, oh, this is going to be like Escape from Tarkov. No, please, God, no.
I don't think it will be.
Okay. Because, dude,
I think Bungie is pretty good at like making their own unique take on things.
Yeah. Yeah, I was excited, and then I heard, and then I thought, that's where I was at. I was like, that's awesome. No. Don't make it like this. Please don't make it like this.
Yeah, no, I don't think it will be.
But man, I appreciate the fucking conversation, man. I love getting more eyes on you. I think that's my exciting goal, is like just having people on who have no idea who some of these creators are and just elevating them. Like, I'm super excited. I have to piss really badly, but you plug yourself. Where can people find you? What are you doing? What projects you working on?
Wash your hands with 2 R's on absolutely everything.
Okay.
Today after this, I'm going to be painting for a little bit. So if you guys want to see what that's all about, we mostly stream on Kick these days. I do have the occasional Twitch stream, but it's been a minute. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, everything. Mostly Call of Duty content, ish.
Yeah.
But we vibe. We vibe. High energy. We listen to metal right now. I have Memphis Mayfire going.
What album?
I think this is The Hollow. It's one of the
Good
earlier ones.
fucking album. Oh my god,
Yeah.
bro.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, man.
And yeah.
I appreciate you
Good
taking
stuff.
the time, man. Guys, make sure to go follow Wash Your Hands 2 R's. He's a really
Yours.
sweet dude.
Very, very important.
Yeah. He's like Break. He just likes making everything complicated. But no. Make sure you go follow him. He's gonna be blowing up real soon. He's already has a little bit, but it's just more to come. I'm really excited. I'm really pumped for what's gonna be happening.
I appreciate it, bro.
Absolutely, dude. I appreciate the talk, and to you and everyone from your community, have a great day, and thanks for taking the time.
Yeah.
All right, dude. I'll talk to you
All
soon.
right, peace, dude. Yeah.
All right. And how do I do this? How do I do this properly? I have this connected to another thing. Anyways, guys, thank you so much. If you're on YouTube, come to Kick. The live stream is over. I appreciate you all so much.